we're now joined by Paul Hanna. How are you today, Paul?
Outstanding. How are you, Jay?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Now, what do we call you? It's a writer, director, producer. How many hats are you wearing these days?
It's crazy. I can't count them all. Write the music. You know, it's just,
wow.
I just call myself a filmmaker.
Yeah, a creative entrepreneur. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good to have your hands on as many parts of the pie as possible. Then you kind of, you know, more responsible for the output.
Sure. You know, a film is not made on set. It's always made in post. And so when you are influencing so many different areas, it really does have your stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I know you grew up in the Southern California area. Talk about, you know, your love for film and acting and entertainment. How that grew, who some of your mentors or idols were that inspired you to do this?
I've been a movie buff from the beginning. My mother used to take me downtown to see old Bruce Lee movies at the State Theater. So, you know, from the time I can remember, I've always loved to see that process, you know, in terms of how you make a movie, how you write a movie, how you act in a movie. And so I started off in theater very early on, 10 and 11, directing and writing my own pieces. From there, I was in corporate America for a while as an executive, and when the bottom fell out in 2008, I took a chance, financed my first movie, and the rest is history. We're 20 deep now, so.
Wow, that's amazing stuff. So tell us about the making of the first film and how you pulled that off and what doors that opened for you.
Sure, yeah, our first film was called Consensual, and it was interesting because I was going to buck the system. I wasn't going to put a single star in the film, and I thought it was going to make millions of dollars with nobody in it, and it did not make millions of dollars, but it was a learning experience that you can't equate to anything else. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. You know, I took $35,000 of my own money, and we shot it in 8 days. It was the first time I had ever been behind a camera. There was absolutely nothing I knew about making a film except for what I read and saw on the internet. But from that, it opened up all sorts of doors. We got a 4-picture deal from that film, then we got a studio deal and distribution deal and on and on and on. But that was the catalyst for everything that we do now. Was that story in that film, Consensual. It's still on Netflix and other places even today, and that's six years ago or so.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we always hear about the filmmaker that, you know, pulled a rabbit out of their hat, so to speak, to get that first movie done and kind of show the world what they have. And I guess it's a constant evolution of kind of showing, improving, and stepping up.
Sure.
You know, I know the financial people always want to see that comfort zone, you know. Now, how do you balance that as far as the creative and the business sides and, you know, dealing with issues on both?
Well, you have to be able to deal with both because making films, making movies is a tremendous business before it is anything else. The creative decisions you make, how long you write the script equals how many days you have to shoot it. It folds into every decision I make. So perfecting that model has really been our cause for success, is being able to go out and shoot a movie in 8 to 10 days, which would take somebody else 3 to 4 weeks. So you're saving money there, you know, making compelling characters so these huge stars and celebrities want to come and be a part of it, and perhaps they don't get the fee that they're normally used to, but they get to chew on a character they don't normally see either. So making those creative decisions in tune with the business decisions is critical.
Now, what is your secrets as far as being able to pull off a movie in such a short time? What are the critical areas that one would need to concentrate on?
First is God, because it's always a miracle to do so. It's an absolute miracle with everything that goes wrong. But planning, for sure. Pre-production is king. So if you don't plan for it, you're not ready for it. And then once it's pre-production is done, it's knowing how to be effective in all those areas of post, knowing how to sit with an editor and get the cut that you want, knowing how to push your music people and get the type of score that you need, sitting with the colorist and making sure it pops on screen and it looks like a $3 million movie instead of a $500,000 movie. So being very educated in those areas helps tremendously in getting the finished product, which is what ultimately gets it to the screen.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have both the Love Shack, which is a gospel musical, which you're about to take on the road.
Yeah.
Did the Wilshire E. Bell Theater. Love to hear about that. And I know you also have Grandma's House, you know, coming out. So tell us about each of these projects and what you're most proud of keeping with these.
Sure. You know, I'm equally proud of both projects. They're extremely exciting. I started in theater, as I said, so going back in that world was a challenge, but it was also extremely interesting. The Love Shack was an amazing piece, and we did it to a Los Angeles audience that I don't think they knew what to expect, but everyone raved about it. So that was a great feeling. The executive producer, Kimberly Zukowski, is also the EP and writer of Grandma's House. Okay. So we took the story of her grandmother, who was a matriarch in the Milwaukee inner cities, and we created this movie around it and all of the things that she did. I mean, she had 100 and something foster kids, and she had 30-some grandkids, and you know, that's where you went to get your life together. And so this fictional story that we created based on her story, I think is compelling, and everybody has a grandmother, so everyone can relate to it. So we're prepping for that theatrical release, which will be this spring, and we're excited about it.
Fantastic. Now, what's the biggest difference between making a film and putting on a live stage performance?
Well, there is no cut and do it again. That's the biggest difference. But also the time that you're investing in theater, the rehearsal time is amazing. You know, it's very difficult to get Hollywood actors to actually sit and rehearse scenes before you get to set. So having that time to prep and really mold these characters with the artist, I think is an amazing thing. But the thrill of being behind the camera and seeing what pops off instantaneously and in the moment is also very special. So very two different things, but equally gratifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we've obviously seen radical shifts in the entertainment world with the advent of the internet and technologies. How have you dealt with that, and how do you make the most of taking those traditional elements that you're used to and having to kind of morph those into this kind of more internet technological world?
Sure. Well, I think it's good and bad. I think the internet as a filmmaker and independent production company gives you more power if you're willing to do the work and wait for the money. So in that way, it gives you more power. You own more of the project for a longer period of time. But at the same time, it also hurts because of piracy, and you know, it's almost a full-time job going on YouTube and other places, getting your films pulled off the internet where people are watching them for free. I mean, I've had films with millions and millions of views on it. So that means people are not buying the movie, they're watching it on the internet. So that's challenging, but you know, it's always gonna morph and change, and you just have to roll with the punches. And I think that one of the things we've done, we did a horror movie last year called Ulterior Motives that we're putting out as an independent distributor, straight only online. And I think that that's exciting because we control our destiny in that regard. So I'm very interested to see how that turns out.
Well, we've obviously seen the rise of Netflix and now Amazon. Everybody's getting into this space of watching movies online. You know, what advice do you give to the young filmmakers that are obviously dealing with minimal budgets? They might be dealing with, you know, unknown actors. How do you get your foot in the door and navigate in today's market to kind of show the world what you have?
Well, I don't think there's any excuses left, to be honest. You can make a movie with your phone. You know, you can get a decent HD camcorder for a couple $100. If you make a quality movie that people want to see, the other stuff doesn't matter. The budget doesn't matter. You know, the budgets don't matter. If it's compelling enough, and there are so many film festivals now that, you know, cater to new media and cater to the new filmmaker, you have all this opportunity. Just go make your film, and that's what it comes down to. You'll never learn as much in film school or anywhere else as just making the film yourself and dealing with your actors and creating a story from scratch and then molding it into something that people want to watch.
That's amazing. So now, where do you go from here? I know you have a number of projects always in development. what else is on the bucket list? What would you like to ultimately achieve with your talents?
Well, I'm excited about taking the Love Shack on the road. We're doing a multi-city tour with the Love Shack, so that's very exciting. But I think for me is just continue to evolve as a filmmaker. So as we get into those multi-million-dollar budgets on the horizon here, I'm excited to see what more you can do. Obviously you get into more of the politics too, but at the same time, as a filmmaker who's only worked with $1 million or less, I'm excited to be able to work with films in that $5 and $10 million range and really have no constraints on the imagination that I can use to create a story.
That's great. And any final message you'd like to give to the movie lovers, the entertainment fans out there, as far as what they should be looking for, how to find you online or keep up to date on what you're working on?
Sure. First, I'd like to say thank you for everyone that supports our films. It is an amazing thing when people validate you by going out and buying hundreds and thousands of copies of your movie. So I want to say thank you to those people that support us. And then anyone who's looking to keep up with me, they can catch me at paulhanna.com or on Twitter at #OnePaulHanna or at Instagram #OnePaulHanna. And just keep looking out. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline. I'm really excited to bring you some more stories cut from a different cloth. So
it's our pleasure, Paul. Can't wait to see the new movies, and we'll be there in the front row.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate your time.